I'm ready to broadcast.
Live now on Facebook. All right, our audience coming in. Yeah. All right, here we are. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another week of Fashion Futures AFWL Web Talk Series. We welcome all of you to join us again. This afternoon is very, very special because we have our friends, TIKZN, with us, who will be talking about their journey in the fashion industry, starting in South Africa and taking on the world. But before we get started, I just want to share a video with you guys. I'm going to share my screen with you guys and play a video, which is pretty much going to set the entire pace for the rest of the web talk. Bear with me one second.
Bidding. It's a very specific skill, but it comes from regenerational thing as well. So it's something that our great-grandparents did. We are working very hard to ensure that that culture, that Zulu culture is not lost. So things might have changed, it's now into watches, but the message is still the same. I am expressing love through beads by bringing the communities together. My name is Lunga Ntuli from South Africa, and I'm a change maker. Welcome to LN Watches, the home of African-inspired watches made in KwaZulu-Natal for the entire world to wear. Morning with the Zulu culture. Back in the years, they used to call it the Zulu love letter, where they would write letters, you know, to express how they feel about each other. But in our days, you can literally just use a watch to express this, you know, that love. And then each bead, they obviously tell a love language. This one, which is dominated by yellow, and yellow simply stands for wealth. And then it says wealth, then it says that green, which stands for contentment, then that white, which stands for purity, and then you have that red popping up, expressing love.
Today, he's meeting one of his idols and fellow preservation advocate, Mbuzo Koza.
So this is Mambanani Tam. My name is Lungantuli. I come from LN Watches, and I'm here to present to you with an LN African-inspired beaded watch.
I think it's very important that we support such initiatives because I think this is how we are going to be able to find a place for our culture in the modern day. I really think such art forms will make intangible heritage more felt in the communities. The LN watches are the future.
Yes.
Yeah.
Doing what I do, it can be quite fun. It can be quite hectic at times, but you get to engage with a lot of people. You get to speak with many people. You get to understand different cultures, different people. You get to travel a lot, and it's just an amazing space to be in, get to work with communities, you get to manage people as well. And in the process of managing people, you need to understand the different dimensions, different cultures, different roles, different habits that they have.
Yeah. All right, everyone. So there you go. We had this incredible opportunity for CNN to spot LN Watches, Lunga Ntuli, who's actually here. The man behind the watches is here today. He's going to tell us all about that journey and what that meant for him to get that amazing opportunity at AFWL. But before I continue with that, because I am not the actual moderator, we have a very special moderator today. And her name is Princess Ronke Adamalui, who is the founder of AFWL and AFWN, Africa Fashion Week London and Africa Fashion Week Nigeria. So I hand you over to Princess Ronke Adamalui.
Thank you, Michael. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Princess Ronke Adamalui, and I'm the founder of Africa Fashion Week London. Africa Fashion Week London is a platform that's been showcasing African brands in the UK, promoting African brands in the UK for the past 10 years. And joining me here today is a panel of experts who are going to be discussing a range of topics with us. And I'm going to invite the panelists to introduce themselves. And I'd like to start with Mr. Madileke from the South African High Commission in the UK.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon. They call me Lix Ramushu. My real name is Madileke. The street name is Lix. I represent the Department of Trade and Industry. And from last year after elections, the department is now called Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. So we are known as the DTIC. And then I represent it in the UK and the Northern Ireland. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Madileke, and it's an honor to have you with us, sir. Next, I'm delighted to have the lovely Pamela from Brand SA. Thank you so much. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Thank you very much for this opportunity, Princess. My name is Pumela Salela, and I'm the UK country head for Brand South Africa. And I'll get more into explaining who Brand South Africa is and what it does later.
Thank you very much, Pumela. I'm delighted to have you. Followed by Christina. Hi, Christina, all the way from South Africa. Can you introduce yourself, please? And I can see you've got Slew there with you. Hello.
Yes, thank you, Princess Ronke and the team. We look forward to engaging with you and to some of your viewers. I represent Trade and Investment KwaZulu-Natal. We are based in Durban, in KwaZulu-Natal, in South Africa. And yeah, I'll tell you a little bit more about what we do and how we facilitate businesses into international markets. And I look forward to the engagement.
Thank you very much, Christina. Slew, can we hear something from you? Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Silungile Mkwena. I'm a fashion designer. I'm based in KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. And I do Afrocentric wear for all events, high-end events, whether it's African or Western events. And we will make sure that everything that you wear turns the heads when you enter.
Thank you, Slew. Precious, can we hear you, please?
Hi, everyone. I am Precious Mahlangu, known to my peers as Ululu, representing the brand Precious Lulu. Born and bred in KZN, KwaZulu-Natal, Richards Bay area to be exact. I'm a fashion creative, really. I would not want to box myself as a designer because I'm in a space where I'm venturing into all things fashion, be it styling, be it image consulting, as well as obviously creating garments. So I'm really happy to be here and I can't wait to learn more and to also share what I know.
Thank you, Precious. And last but not the least is Lungai from LN Watches. Can you do a brief introduction of yourself, please?
Hi, Princess. Thank you so much and greetings to everyone. My name is Lunga Ntuli from LN Watches, based in South Africa, KwaZulu-Natal, Durban, and it's such an honor and a privilege to be here this evening and looking forward to learning and engaging more.
Thank you very much. Now, starting with Mr. Madileke again, Africa Fashion Week has been at the forefront of promoting African fashion brands in the UK for the past 10 years. It's been an event that has formed a relationship between the UK and Africa because designers look forward to showcasing at Africa Fashion Week every year. I think this year we have about 400 registrations to showcase at Africa Fashion Week already. Mr. Madileke, your work is around South Africa and the UK relations. Can you share a bit more about that with us, please, and why the relationship is so important?
Okay, no, thank you, Ronke. And also for what you just mentioned now about the 400 registrations. Congratulations about that. I was actually wondering how you are going to achieve this given the COVID-19 that is now disrupting everything all over the world. But maybe because you're an entrepreneur, you'll be innovative. When I was still at the university, I was taught that an entrepreneur must be innovative, and innovative means that the entrepreneur must see what everyone has seen, but do something different. Now I can tell that already we are going to do something different to bring all these 400 people to see the beautiful things. But in terms of our relations between South Africa and the UK, as I mentioned earlier on, that my job is to just listen to business people when they argue about money. I'll also be doing exactly that this afternoon after this 5 minutes presentation of mine. We have fantastic relationships between the two countries. Our president and prime minister, they have cordial relationship. There's always exchange of high-level visits between the two countries. And actually, early this year in January, just before coronavirus came in, we had the UK hosted the first UK Africa Investment Summit, and it was well attended by about 20 heads of state from Africa. And the key message from that summit, especially from Prime Minister, he said that the UK was ready to take the relationship with Africa forward. And then we're excited about that. Our trade with UK is also growing, and actually if we take UK in as part of the EU, we normally say EU 28, but now that UK is going out, the fact of the matter is that UK is in Europe anyway, so we'll still see them as part of the Europe. So the trade between the UK and South Africa is the second in the EU. So we trade with UK after Germany. I think Germany is the largest trade partner of South Africa and EU, followed by the UK. Also in terms of investment, we get more investments from UK than any other country in EU. In the world, I think UK is the second largest investor in South Africa after USA. We have priority sectors that we have identified that we will want to discuss with partners in the UK. They include the one that you like most, textile, clothing, and footwear. We are talking about the minerals. At the moment, the situation is that UK is importing more of our raw materials. And we are saying, I think now is about time that they need to assist us with the technologies that they have. What do they do with our mineral resources? We cannot just dig them from the ground and then export them, but we need to do something back in South Africa. So we need to add value close to the source. It's one of the things that we'll be talking to them about. The another one is financial resources. We know that without money, you can't do anything. Money makes the world go around. So financial services also, and the fintechs as well. And then the other sector I can mention is agriculture, because we know that people have to eat no matter what. We can talk about politics, anything. At the end of the day, people have to eat. We saw now with these recent lockdowns back in South Africa and in all countries that people will queue looking for food. And also with the COVID, there's been disruption in the transportation of those things. So agriculture is important, and it goes with the medical technologies, the medical health. And I think when we emerge from this COVID, I think the number one thing is going to be agriculture and medical care. But then I want to, in conclusion, mention that fashion is something that we cannot do away with. I saw in one newspaper article last week here in London, they were showing a lady who was in a shop. I think I don't know whether it's a wrong case your shop or what, but it's the designer clothes shop. And then this lady was comparing a dress that she wanted to buy with a mask. So already in the shops, they're putting masks there as part of the fashion. So, which is a good thing. And I was actually joking to say, I'm looking for some African ladies here in London who manufacture masks so that I can buy from them, because I don't like these disposable ones that you buy now, you throw away. So I want to keep those ones. So yes, our relations are fantastic. And also now it's gonna be even bigger, because you will know that we concluded an agreement between UK, SACU plus Mozambique in October. And that agreement is basically just an insurance to make sure that the trade that we used to do still continue, so that there's no disruption. But also, again, you will know that the African Union launched the AFCFTA, Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, which the office is supposed to be opened in, I think, around June, but it has been postponed recently to December, which will be in Accra, Ghana. And the first Secretary General is a good friend of mine. If maybe you need contacts, we can talk outside this meeting, and then I can then introduce you to him. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Madden.
And then
I think that Precious has
I've got COVID symptoms. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, that's fine. I can see that Precious has worn one of the African-made masks. Precious. Okay, so my next question will go to Pumela. Hi, Pumela.
Hello, Princess Ronke.
Hi. You promote brand South Africa in the UK.
Yes.
You're at the forefront of expanding the reach of KZN brands when they participate at Africa Fashion Week London. As an expert in the area of promoting brand SA in the UK, can you share some of your experiences with us?
What I can firstly say is that the UK and South Africa have a long history together. Within the UK, we have what we call Friends of South Africa. These are the people who have supported South Africa over the years when we're struggling with apartheid and trying to fight for our freedom. So we are here to maintain those relationships, first of all. And secondly, as of this year, South Africa is the South African president is the chair of the African Union. So we are also here to say that South Africa is within Africa, and therefore we first of all see ourselves as a gateway to Africa, but we also believe that you cannot have a brand South Africa without brand Africa. What we've seen is that there is a keen interest on Africa as a whole within the United Kingdom. And we want to commend initiatives such as yours, which is the Africa Fashion Week London, which is putting Africa at the forefront. The synergies between Africa Fashion Week London and Brand South Africa is that we are also here to position South Africa as a globally competitive nation. And where I see yourselves is that you are also putting Africa on the map within the global space, so that Africa as image and reputation is positive. I'm sure you'd agree with that. So if we look into the concept of what a nation brand is, it actually consists of different elements. And this is what we are trying to promote within the United Kingdom. A nation brand has got culture and heritage as one component. It's got its people as another component. Investment and immigration, the third component. Tourism, export brands, which is what we're doing with these brands that we have in the panel. And sixthly, we have foreign and domestic policy. So what we are here to do is to actually say, this is what South Africa can offer in terms of the export brands, the culture and the heritage and the people. And there's been a keen interest. And one thing that we actually do is to promote South Africa in an authentic manner. Hence, you will then see that, you know, brands such as Ellen Watches are about being authentically South African. The Zulu beaded work, it's quite authentic to South Africa. We have Precious Lulu Couture. I mean, last year at Africa Fashion Week, she managed to bring in that African element and immerse and emerging it with a global competitiveness. And also Slovene Designs, again, taking Africa and putting it on the map. So in essence, we are all in this together. As Brand South Africa, we treat the country as one brand, and then we promote everything that falls under it, be it the sectors of the economy that Mr. Madileke has mentioned, which clothing, textile, footwear, and leather is one of. So we promote fashion. We see it as a viable sector in terms of the economy. And within South Africa, we have pockets where fashion itself is quite developed. And KwaZulu-Natal, which is represented here, presents a wealth of opportunities, one from an arts and culture point of view in terms of the fashion industry itself, and also from the manufacturing side of view, where South Africa provides incentives for the manufacturing and the investments in that sector. But KZN's strengths actually in the fashion or the clothing, textile, footwear and leather sector lies in mass market apparel, cut, make and trim, textile manufacturing, dyeing and finishing.
Wow, thank you very much, Pamela. That's amazing. You've given us an insight into how Brand South Africa supports South African brands in the UK, and particularly how you support the emerging African designers from South Africa when they participate at Africa Fashion Week London. So thank you very much. My next question would go to Christina. Hi, Christina. Africa Fashion Week has worked with emerging brands from, I'd say, almost every country in Africa. Right, Michael? We have, haven't we? And we understand the challenges that brands face when preparing to showcase on an international platform like ours. How does TIKZN support and prepare emerging brands for their journey to the international market?
Yeah, so thank you, Ronke. One of the things that we do as Trade and Investment KZN within the organization is through the unit that I belong to. It's known as the Export Development and Promotion Unit. We essentially have two sub-units within this unit, and we look at developing businesses. How can they be capacitated to identify the right export markets, to meet the export markets' legislative compliance, as well as to sustain themselves in those markets. The UK and London has been one of those markets that we have looked at. We have started developing this market for our clientele, for this particular sector, I think well over a number of years, actually. Since the decline in the industry has been noted in 2000, it has been one of the sectors, as Pamela and Lix has mentioned, that the government has been looking at reviving, especially since the sector is so labor intensive. And here in KwaZulu-Natal, we have a high skills deposit within the sector. So in preparation, we would be able to chat to our manufacturers to look at how their manufacturing processes can assist them in entering that market, but in sustaining business into a new market. We also look at export development very strongly. We have various mentorship programs that we currently have a number of our emerging designers on. We start them off with an export development program that takes them through a graduation process. We look at how one is able to match your product with the market. also to augment your product for the emerging market as well. So it is a basket of services that TIKZN offers in preparing manufacturers or service providers to an export promotion activity. We host various information sessions, various development workshops as well, where the idea and the crux of the idea of the sessions and these workshops is to develop the capacity and the knowledge of these manufacturers so that they can ultimately be sustained in exports into a market.
Thank you very much, Christina. And still on you, Christina, as the Export Promotion Officer for TIKZN, over the last 2 years, you've brought around 25 brands to participate at Africa Fashion Week London. Why Africa Fashion Week London? And how important is it for KZN brands to participate at Africa Fashion Week London?
Okay, so great. That's a lovely question. You know, the clothing and textile sector here in KZN was once a thriving industry, as we mentioned, and we are looking to give it any sort of an assistance that we can offer to revive the sector, as I mentioned before. So Africa Fashion Week London, the theme of the event spoke to what we here at KwaZulu-Natal and in South Africa and amongst our designers are looking to elevate with our brands. So the event itself looks at the target audience of being those that appreciate African wear, those that appreciate the authenticity and also the pride that goes into developing some of these products or rather these brands. And there's an appreciation of the African wear and the African skills that goes, the thought that goes into these products. The event itself has been absolutely phenomenal for our designers. All of them have come back with not just brand exposure, but the networking, the market intelligence that is gained from chatting and networking with other designers, other brands, with understanding what is the market looking at. We were actually notified about Africa Fashion Week London when a group of designers were there, I think about 4 years ago. So that is how long KwaZulu-Natal has been sending designers through. Last year and even the year before, we have had a huge response from designers that wanted to attend. Unfortunately, we cannot accommodate everyone. We try our best to push forward designers that have gone through TIKZN's development program, that have modified their production, that have looked at how can they be able to sustain themselves in this market. So we've looked at designers that we've trained, we've had an experience with, and also designers that are looking at entering this market based on their own marketing initiatives. So for us, we're looking very much to keep alive that strategic partnership that we have with the UK, and also because the market, it actually appreciates our wear and our products. So it's been great for us.
Thank you, Christina. And just to add to what you've said, Africa Fashion Week, and this is for the benefit of our audience, Africa Fashion Week was established in 2011 to bridge the gap between African designers in the African continent and in the African diaspora with their target audience. For the past 10 years, we must have showcased up to about 900 brands, as we believe that for creativity to grow, there needs to be a platform that supports and promotes its growth. So thank you very much. We look forward to working over and over again with TIKZN and KZN designers. Thank you, Christina. I'm going to hand over to my co-host Michael now to to take over and discuss with Precious, Lungai, and Slu.
Thank you so much, Princess Ronke. I just wanted to add to what Princess Ronke mentioned in terms of what the platform Africa Fashion Week London stands for. In addition to that, you know, we're a platform that really believes that the way forward in developing and giving greater respect and changing the narrative of Africa is to be together, it's a collective spirit. And so whether you're in Nigeria or South Africa or Morocco or Somalia, or we want to make sure that there's a clear understanding that this platform represents and celebrates everything that is Africa. And piggybacking on what Christina mentioned about understanding that there's an authenticity at which AFWL celebrates, promotes, and this is why all the designers and brands that AFWL represent and encourage and give visibility to are committed to ensuring that whatever it is that they are doing in their respective brands and business, it continues to celebrate and develop Africa and the respective communities. So it's really important for us to have this very close relationship with KwaZulu-Natal, and particularly with TIKZN, who are dedicated to promoting KwaZulu-Natal. And it's wonderful to have Mr. Madeleke here as part of the South African High Commission to really reinforce, and Brand South Africa, to reinforce the commitment and take an example that South Africa is actually doing to promote the country and aspect of the country that might not have gotten so much attention, but now they're really getting to do that and celebrate the culture. So it really means a lot to us. Lunga, I want to really come to you because at the beginning of the web talk, audience, I'm sure if some of you've missed it, I think most of you actually saw the video that we played in the very beginning. And that video is borrowed from our friends at CNN. CNN saw Ellen Watches, the baby of Lunga Ntuli, and saw that they love the watches. But not just the design of the watches, they love what the brand stand for, and that is promoting KwaZulu-Natal. And understanding that every single detail of the watch has meaning, which is so important. So Lunga, tell us, getting that recognition, how did it change the brand? How did it make you feel as a designer? Tell us what it did for you, please.
Thank you so much. It came as a surprise, of course. Just returning from the Africa Fashion Week London, the atmosphere, first of all, because when I started the brand, it was just the watch business, but it took time for me to actually realize that I was in the fashion space. So being there, showcasing with great fashion designers was really a great exposure for me. But, I was so amazed when I was just playing around Google and seeing an interview that was done in Chinese about the Africa Fashion Week in London, about the Ellen watches, and I could not understand a single word that was said, and different media houses, it was not just CNN. We went on to be profiled at the New York Times, to be featured there after the Africa Fashion Week. So it was, and when I started the brand, I've always said that I want to create a global brand. I want to create a brand that will see a person taking off their most expensive watch, and wearing this watch. And our unique selling proposition has always been, let us create a watch that tells a story. I'm very much fascinated about love and relationships. And what our watches do is to communicate the message of love through beads. So what I've done is that we have looked at the Zulu love letter, which speaks about people expressing love, and then how do we then take that and communicate it in a global scale. So it's been an amazing journey, and it has really indeed positioned the brand as a global brand.
Wonderful. Congratulations, Lunga. Honestly, you speak with so much, you can, the sincerity of understanding how important that message is to convey on what your brand stands for, the mission. It's just really important. So huge congratulations, really. It's
Thank
really
you.
quite incredible. Please go ahead.
Yes, and not only that, I think it was just after the Africa Fashion Week in London as well, one had the privilege of designing a watch for Prince Harry and Meghan, you know, and that as well really puts the brand elsewhere, you know, to the top. And it was just proof that our dreams are valid, and that what we stand for. That's the message that we want to share, you know, to the people coming from KwaZulu-Natal, you know, the ladies that does the work. And the CNN interview, what really struck me the most about it was not merely about Ulung and Uli per se, but it was about the ladies, the team, the communities that are being changed through the work that we do. You know, bead work, if you go to Durban, it's something that is taken lightly. But what we have done is that we have said it cannot be taken lightly. Let us take beads and add value into it. And that's what we are doing now, taking something that is being taken for granted and then just simply adding value into it.
Wonderful. And I think it definitely goes to show that TIKZN definitely understands that whole concept of that it adds value to the community. And so in the support that it gives to all you designers, to you know, emerging and now very established and very world-renowned designers like NO Watches, you know, it takes you to another platform. That's exactly what, you know, at AFWL here that we want to continue to support, that value that really goes beyond the big brand names. It brings something more than that. You know what I mean? It advocates for the collective spirit, the continued development and education of Africa, all of Africa. Yes, Precious Lulu.
That's right.
Precious Lulu, tell us more about your brand and exactly that authenticity and the value that you bring as your brand to your community and to South Africa.
Okay, Precious Lulu is basically an exclusive women's wear hub. We pride ourselves in high fashion creations with an intense attention to detail, bold ethnic elements, and cosmopolitan silhouettes. We have hustled for a very long time. I love what Lunga was saying, really. It's the passion that drives us. We hustled and waited in action, though, not just waiting, doing nothing for these opportunities to come and these platforms to come our way and for us to really take advantage of them. So when this opportunity came, I actually found out about Africa Fashion Week London in 2017. And I couldn't come through that year. 2018, I was involved in a reality TV show on fashion as well. I couldn't come once again, and then boom, last year, Christina came my way, and there I was. It was surreal. It was intense. It was completely new environment for me, a new market. But more than anything, it felt like home. Funny enough, being surrounded by Africans that have the same ideals as you, that want to share their art and their craft as well. So you felt like you're surrounded by family and you are there to share your family stories, however different they may have been. So as Precious Lulu, we took advantage of that platform and a lot came out of it. I mean, being on one day, I get a picture of my work on Vogue Italia. What? Are you kidding me? The next day, I find out I'm also profiled on Fab UK. I've never read Fab UK in my life. Are you kidding me? So it was really a great platform for exposure. Photo shoots with the likes of Kelechi. I mean, are you kidding me? I'm still puzzled about how that came to pass, but it was a great platform. It still is, and hopefully COVID is going to go away and we can really get that chance and that opportunity again.
Absolutely. You know, I know for us, and I know I'll speak on behalf of Princess Ronke too, and I'm sure I'll have her say something too, that, you know, when we hear the incredible stories that you've done and success, Vogue Italia, CNN, New York Times, you know, for us, we're a social enterprise. Audience, please understand that we are a social enterprise where we are not a profit-making establishment. It goes right back into our communities across Africa and helping to develop and continue to nurture and build designers like yourself, and using the wonderful partnership with like companies like TIKZN, who's helping to make that happen. So when we hear your success stories, it means so much to us, because you know, it keeps us going. It reminds us, because it's not easy putting on AFWN and AFWN. Trust me, it is hard work. Am I right, Princess Ronke? Please.
Yes, Michael, you're right. And Africa Fashion Week, when we started, we were a platform that was created to promote designers, African designers, emerging designers. But over the years, we have evolved into a platform that now, you know, provides them solutions for the various challenges that the African fashion industry has. And like Michael said, it is not easy putting an event of that magnitude together. So yes, kudos to us.
That's right, indeed, indeed. So congratulations also, Precious. We're so proud of you. We're so proud of all of you guys. And Slew Designs. Come on, please tell us more, please, Levin. There you are, Slew. Can you hear us?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Please tell us about the Slew brand and the value and what it means for you to be able to represent KwaZulu-Natal and the work that you're doing there in your communities, and how the impact that AFWL platform has had on your brand and the success that you've had also. Please do share it.
Okay, as Living Designs, I was part of the first group that actually participated in the Africa Fashion Week London. And that was in 2013. And when I went there, to be honest, we were scared because we didn't know what to expect. But one thing that really made me to take the opportunity to go to participate in the Africa Fashion Week London is because when I was doing a research of which events should I participate on as a fashion designer, because my designs represent the African authenticity. And for me, I wanted to participate or to showcase in a platform that will relate to what my brand and my designs are all about. And going through all the events, I discovered that, okay, there is Africa Fashion Week London, and I contacted Ronke. We made the arrangements, and then with the assistance of the Department of Trade and Industry, we approached them and they gave us a go-ahead. They supported us, and we came and participated. Being our first participation, we didn't expect the exposure that we received. But most of the media that was there was wowed by our designs. As a result, most of my designs, even my very fashion show, the runway, was showcased on BBC in London. And the following day, everyone was like coming to my stand and saying, wow, we saw your show on BBC. And it was really, I was really humbled, to be honest, because I didn't expect that. I was just a young and upcoming designer, known by no one in London. You know, sometimes when you go and showcase in a platform where you don't know anyone, you sometimes wonder if you will get the audience that will really buy into your style or appreciate your work. But to me, London felt like my second home. And since then, I never looked back. And one thing that I like about Africa Fashion Week London, the media coverage that they involve or they partner with, it gives everyone. I will be honest with this, because after each and every show, I go online because they communicate with us and they give us their links. I go online, and when you go onto those media houses that are invited by the organizers of Africa Fashion Week London, you get all the shows that took place, and you can actually get the links. You can actually see the actual videos of your own runway. And that for our brand has really placed us in a level of international brand, I will say. I do a lot of fashion events, which is like runways, and sometimes it's not actually a runway, it's just a fashion exhibition whereby most of the time it's supported by the DTI and Trade and Investment KwaZulu-Natal in partnership. They always support us as small businesses to take us and give us a platform to showcase our work internationally. And you know, sometimes it amazes me when I am in a country where I've never been there before, and you will hear people coming into my stand because the branding they give us and they give our stands really goes a long way, because everyone, when we participate as a group of exhibitors from South Africa, the branding is always eye-catching. It always welcomes people. And I can hear people as they walk towards my stand, and someone will say, "No, I know this brand. I've seen it on TV. They showcased in London." And then as they get closer, I will ask them, "Okay, I've never been to this country. How do you know about my brand?" And they will relate to the shows that I have done in Africa Fashion Week London. So that has really informed me as a brand owner that, okay, this is the platform for my brand. It really gives me the exposure that I need. And besides just publicity and brand awareness, it also brings sales. One of the very first showstopper that I did in London, I sold more than 25 of those dresses in Zimbabwe. And most of those clients, they saw that outfit on the runway, on the videos that of the runway that I did in Africa Fashion Week London in 2013. And when they saw it, luckily the DTI selected that outfit and branded my stand with that dress, and that brought a lot of orders. And I was really humbled, and it really made me realize that, okay, this is the platform to be. And after that, I made sure that I work with everyone who can assist us, which led me to Trade and Investment KwaZulu-Natal, because we are their babies. They always groom us, teach us, and make sure that we understand, especially when it comes to the export part of the business. Because doing business locally in South Africa is not the same as doing business internationally, because there are those details that we need to understand, the costing part of it, the preparation of the products, understanding the market itself. It's not the same as the girl next door or the person next door. We are all Africans, we know that. But when you want your business to take that level of being an international brand, you need that training. You need to go through that process. There are so many things, like how do you cost? How do you receive your money, which is one of the key elements of doing business. You need to understand, how are you going to get paid? What are the different systems or methods used when you are involved in the export business? And Trade and Investment gives us the platform to train us and to teach us, take us through all that process without us paying, because you can actually access that, but the cost of accessing that information is extremely high. And most of us as small businesses, we cannot afford that.
Well, Christina, you said something so important, and that is, you know, that TIKZN doesn't charge you guys, but what the value that comes from you guys succeeding then inspires other designers to continue to do their work, and it makes, and so the work that TIKZN does is actually adds way more value. And do you understand what you mean? So it really is sort of a domino effect of you guys succeeding and other communities succeeding. TIKZN, their mission is then being succeeded, being fulfilled. Am I right, Christina?
Absolutely. Our core mandate is to promote the province of KwaZulu-Natal as the ideal investment destination and the ideal trade partner with our services and our producers and our manufacturers. And, you know, it would be setting them up for failure if we didn't first assist them to understand what it is to export, to understand how to streamline your manufacturing processes, to be the ideal trading partner with an international business. So it works hand in hand. It's not just like Pumela said, and like our delegates and our exhibitors have been saying, it's not just getting onto that ramp, getting onto that event. It's also, there's so much, like you said as well, there's so much other ripple effects that has an elevation, not just for South Africa, but also for the people, our culture. We're sharing our lives with you when we get onto the Africa Fashion Week London ramp. And that has been so evident in each and every edition of the show.
Thank you. And Mr. Mataleke, I wanted to ask you, in hearing the success that TIKZN has been having for this community, KwaZulu-Natal, and seeing the success stories of all of these designers here today, and knowing that, as you know, Pumela had mentioned that there are other fashion shows and festivals that happens in South Africa, and there's some big brands also. But to hear these designers who are just started out, now succeeding, getting international acclaim, how important is it for you, as being the High Commission that represents all of South Africa? How important is it to hear their story from KwaZulu-Natal in making it so big and getting this sort of international attention? How important is that for you?
It's actually encouraging. It makes our job at the High Commission. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We can hear you.
Yeah, it makes our work very easy at the High Commission when we support them. And then it actually encourages us to bring more participants from other provinces as well in the country. So if there were not these success stories, we're gonna be discouraged and not even try to secure some funds. It's a good story to tell. Even when we are with our partners in government UK, we have something to tell them about, and then they also help us with opening the doors for our business people so that many people can come in. There was one question which I saw from the chat, and maybe I should just mention something in response. I can't remember who put that question there, but they were saying the COVID-19 gives us an opportunity as Africans maybe to come together. And I wanted to really say that, Ronke, I think this was a good thing that we have this webinar during this month of May. The month of May for Africa is very important because it's the Africa month. And as Africans, we know what the importance of solidarity, that we need to stand together, be together. It is also the holy month of Ramadan. So it's very important. And I think the Africa Day is coming on the 25th of May. And to answer that question of saying, let's come together, I want to say that there has been scramble for Africa. You'll find that many countries, they want to have initiative with Africa. You get China Africa Forum, FOCAC, you get Japan Africa, you get Russia Africa. Everybody wants to do something with Africa. Even UK itself, this year they tried. Although they selected few African countries, it's upon us as Africans to educate them that to talk about Africa is not only those 20 member states that we invited, but then we have over 50 member states. So you need to involve everybody. So I think it's upon us to come together as Africans. I think COVID gives us an opportunity now to take action, and we have to do something, and this is the time.
You know, Mr. Medaleka, that what you said was so important, that we have to come together. And, you know, that kind of, what Christina and Precious was the first one who mentioned that when they came to Africa Fashion Week London, they felt, at first they didn't know what to expect. They were a little hesitant. They were quite, you know, excited, nervous, but once they got here, they felt very much at home. And that means a lot to us. It means a lot to us that all of you felt at home, because, you know, you have, as you said, Mr. Mataleka, that Japan is doing something, China is doing something, all about Africa. But when you have your own representing you and doing it on an international level, and where you get this sort of recognition that you thought I wouldn't be able to get, or probably you're a little suspicious on whether or not you'll be able to get that, it means a lot to you. Does it not, Pumela? Pumela, could you?
Does. Saying that, you know, I'm reminded of how this Africa Free Trade Continental Agreement that Mr. Madilege was talking about is going for the first time define what does it mean to be made in Africa. So we are going to see the emergence of, you know, made in Africa taking its space on the global brand. There's also been a question asked about what collaboration can be done by African designers across the continent, particularly in these times of COVID-19. My input on that would be that Africa has got the resources. If we're looking at upstream and if we're looking at downstream, even within the fashion industry, upstream, we grow cotton. We are able to have that cotton. We are able to have the hand-make material, do the dyes. And so what we need to start thinking about is that value creation, that from the source to the beneficiation of the raw materials that we have for the fashion industry, so that the end product is produced and distributed firstly within Africa and then the rest of the world. With regards to COVID-19, I saw a post on Instagram by Mary, who's in Burkina Faso in Ouagadougou, and she's showcasing there's some masks that are made from scratch by Africans in Africa from the cotton that is actually sourced, you know, within the continent. So we need to, I would say, take ownership of the manufacturing and the production of brand Africa and made in Africa per se.
Excellent, excellent. And that's very much so. And Princess Wonke, would you like to say something regarding that, please?
I would like to direct to Christina. In your opinion, what does the future hold for emerging African designers, especially in this difficult time of COVID?
Yes, thank you, Princess Ronke, for that. And just to take off from where and continue from what Pumela was saying, is that going forward, I think COVID-19 has put a lot of issues that we've been having or we've been experiencing, even especially the fashion industry, and challenges, it's brought it to the fore. It will demand of all role players to relook at their strategy in terms of the marketing strategy, their brand strategy. It will also demand that you dissect your approach to a market. So we're going to see a lot of diversification in terms of products. We're looking at a lot of diversification in terms of target market as well. There's going to be different demands for product, different demands from different areas of the world as well. And as Pumela was saying, this is the time for Africa to take its rightful place, to shine, to show exactly how we can work together with each other, how as well we are able to evolve into the changing export market or the changing economics of this world. We, for ourselves at TIKZN, are looking, especially during this time, at our businesses that need to stay open. We are looking at how we can assist them with a buy local project that we have started off here at TIKZN. We are looking as well as how we can just leverage off the demand that is happening at the moment and brought on by COVID-19, also the regulations and the import regulations that are imposed by a host of countries, and how we can just assist our local manufacturers to get their brand, their product out there so that we can buy from them here as well. For too long, our supply chain has been via the East, and now is the time for us to look within ourselves, to look locally, to enhance the supply chain locally as well. And within TIKZN, that is what we are promoting right now, to look at how we can assist our local manufacturers to keep themselves open, but how we can give them more information so that they can make the right choices for their businesses and their employees as well.
Thank you, Christina. That is amazing. Michael, did you want to say something?
Yes. Christina, you talked about the different types of, when looking at the different brands, because the competition, after all of this is done, there'll be so much competition out there, guys. And so you rightfully pointed out how important it is for brands to then really start differentiating, and they're really starting to look at different types of product. One of our audience members asked about technology and the future of fashion, and that goes quite in line with the title of our web talk series, which is Fashion Futures. And technology, the role that technology will play in fashion, both for SLU and Lulu Fashion. Perhaps you guys would like to jump in on that also, and seeing how technology will play a role in differentiating your brand in order to compete after this post-COVID. So, but Christina, would you like to say a little bit more about that?
Yes, as I've noted that COVID-19 has just propelled our efforts. It will just drive our efforts into the fourth industrial revolution, where we've been saying it's a buzzword. We've got to get on board. We've got to get on board. But if brands and if businesses do not aggressively promote their businesses and utilizing technology to do it, because there's nothing that can be done with COVID-19 at the moment. So how do we work around that? And definitely technology is going to play a huge role. Brands and businesses need to latch on to not the challenge that is being presented, but the opportunity that this is presenting. You are able to reach a worldwide market, exactly what we are trying to promote with our export promotion activities. You are able to do it on time. You are able to do it in a far more cost-effective approach as well. You're able to speak to people across all levels, whether you be a CEO of an organization or whether you just be the drafter sitting and putting together these designs, but it's able to open up so much more. So I think brands would be very keen, and also they need to be able to grasp the opportunity as it presents itself. You've got to be hungry. One has got to be desperate for this kind of opportunity that comes your way, and not look at it as just merely a challenge.
That's right.
Anything that you'd like to add?
Yes. Actually, I remember when I I'm actually manufacturing the fabric masks. And I will remember the challenges I faced when I started doing that, because most of my clients are people who go for graduations, or they are going to evening gatherings, going to gala dinners. And when our president announced that the social gathering is not allowed anymore, most of the events got cancelled, and I lost a lot of business because most of my clients cancelled their orders because they couldn't go to those events. And then I went online. I like to do research. So I tried to check the countries that have been going through this pandemic for quite some time. And I actually realized that in Europe, they are now wearing the cloth mask instead of these surgical masks that are used in hospitals. And then I played around trying to get the pattern and doing the pattern. And then I started selling that these locally to some of the friends. I told them that, hey, I'm doing face mask and all that stuff. And to be honest, I got a lot of people criticizing me and saying that, why are you deceiving people? Because a fabric or a cloth mask cannot prevent or cannot protect people. these bacteria that cause this coronavirus. And right now, believe me, everyone here in South Africa now is doing the cloth mask. The very same thing that I was criticized when I started doing it. So this has taught me that sometimes, like Christina is saying, you have to be aggressive when you are in business. Be aggressive in a good way. Know how to stand your grounds. Because I told them that I've never said that it will protect you from getting infected, but at least it will give you that minimum protection. It will not be as protective as the surgical mask. That was my answer to the people who were criticizing me. I said, no, I didn't say that it will protect you. It is 100% protective, like the ones that are medically tested. But at least it's better than having nothing. And those who bought it really appreciated it. It was more comfortable than the ones that the ones that they were buying, which were used once and thrown away. Secondly, the fabric or cloth mask, they are reusable. You can wash them, iron them, and use them again. So that also saves our environment, because all of these disposable masks, at the end of the day, they are destroying our environment. So to be honest, right now, it is a big business in South Africa. And if I had given up by that time, I wouldn't be anywhere. Maybe I would be regretting giving up. So sometimes as business people, we need to look at the positive side and search for that positive side in every situation that we are facing.
And at the same time too, as you mentioned very much so, Sluis, that that you are being also environmentally conscious by ensuring that, in terms of, ensuring that whatever, the fabric can be, your mask, because they're made with a certain sort of material, they can be reused over and over, which is very important. And that goes right back to, what you were saying, Christina, about brands having to reposition themselves because the competition is going to be quite stiff. Precious, I just wanted to ask you about that, the challenge that you that you will face in repositioning your brand, especially that you cater to a more high-end also market too.
It's actually exactly what Slu has spoken about. We had a lot of cancellations. I think it's one thing that most creatives, fashion creatives have experienced throughout the world, not just in South Africa or KZN alone. We had a lot of cancellations, people demanding their deposits. We had malls closed. So if you are in retail as well, shops are closed, so nobody is buying. So you've got consignment and stock that is sitting there, losing value, growing out of season. By the time the COVID is over and the lockdown is over, that stock is not going to sell because it's probably out of season already. So you've already made a complete loss, which is difficult to recover from. So yes, those are the shortfalls that we are experiencing. But another thing that it has taught us really is that we shouldn't look at fashion as just a space of runway and glamour. It has pushed us into a different space, pulled us out of our comfort zone really. Now you realize that, even in the medical space, fashion creatives can survive. I'm at a space now where I'm learning to make doctor scrubs, the most boring uniform you could ever make. But I'm playing a role as well in assisting with the fight in COVID. With the face mask as well, literally everybody is making face masks. But even in doing that, you also, as a design creative, you realize that I can still have my signature into this. I don't have to lose myself and do what everybody is doing. I can still put a little bit of my elements into this and my aesthetic into this as well. So we are learning to survive and adapt as well as we go along. I think what we're going to need to learn more than anything is how to survive economically, because the economics of everything is really difficult. I think that is the one space where we really need to concentrate now, and how we're going to pull ourselves out of it when all of this is said and done, because the chaos is then. Right now, we haven't experienced anything. I think the real chaos is going to come through once this whole situation is over and people have to reposition themselves and start afresh if you must, if you've made a lot, try and catch up and etc. So it is exciting in a way, because you're learning new traits, you're learning different environments. Now you're placing yourself in a space that you've never been before, but it is also draining and stressful, because as a creative, you want to be in that creative space that pushes you, that drives you, and we are not in that space. I don't remember the last time I had a decent idea or sketched a dress. Every day I'm sitting here right now and I'm working on masks. It's mask every day. So it's really draining, but it's a positive fight, really. It's the only way that we can survive, and it's also us assisting with the fight on COVID. And I'm grateful that we actually at least have something that we can do to survive.
And Precious, you said something so important just now, where you said you maintain the the authenticity to your brand, but also for both you and Slu mentioned that in order to right now short term is how you position yourself by focusing on what is really necessary right now. Slu, you started off with the face mask. Other people have picked back on that. You've used it, even though it was you noticed that. Guess what? Okay, I'm not going to do this mask. You're not going to be completely healed, but guess what? This is a way of trying to do whatever you can to help yourself from being infected, or and even going more worse than that, and something being fatal. But you position yourself. You, Precious, now you also making masks, but you also said that you working with with hospitals by creating scrubs also, and using your brand, your own way of doing that. So instead of doing the same boring scrubs, you are actually giving fashion to it, some style. Which doctor, which medical person would want to have some of your style on? I mean, really, indeed.
Exactly. We
now,
need to use these hospital clothes.
Absolutely. Princess, would you like to ask a question? Did you have a question?
No, I know we're running out of time. So I would just like the final piece of advice to come from Pamela. What final piece of advice can you give our audience?
Collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. Let's all think of innovative ways in which we can all work together, firstly for the good of the continent, but also for the good of the world as well. Let's make our name and our mark within the global space. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pamela. I also want to say, Christina mentioned something about that the COVID is, has forced everyone to stop, and it has forced people to stop. However, the creativity has not stopped at all. I know for us here at Africa Fashion Week London, we're having to, Mr. Madaleke had mentioned about how that he's looking forward to seeing what AFWL is going to do for the 400 designers who have signed up, and exhibitors who signed up to, still very much interested in AFWL. And we have not stopped. We have had to be very creative to do what we need to do to continue to support the continent, especially emerging and small businesses on the continent. And so we have not stopped. Hence the reason why this webinar is here today, to continue to encourage all of you to not stop either. We will continue to do our work. We've launched the Web Talk series, Fashion Futures, which is actually the baby of Africa Fashion Week Online, which we launched. And Princess Ronke will tell us a little bit more about the mission of Africa Fashion Week Online.
Yes, so the mission of Africa Fashion Week Online is, so our core services at Africa Fashion Week are promoting, showcasing, creating awareness for designers, sustainability. And what we intend to do with Africa Fashion Week Online is moving all our core services online, starting with our web talks, which are going to be followed by our virtual showcases and presentations. So we do have a lot to offer during this difficult time. So keep watching our space, keep watching us, and stay tuned.
Absolutely. And the wonderful panelists we have, in addition to TIKZN audience, please be aware that in addition to our friends here we also have some incredible panelists coming up who will also be part of our master classes. So designers, these are opportunities for you guys to really continue to use the creative juices in learning from some pretty huge industry experts who have been doing it for quite some time and who are also faced with the struggles that you are all faced with. So, you know, the buck doesn't stop in just one area. Everyone's feeling the effect of this. And we just want to encourage you guys to continue. Let me ask you guys, for the designers, how is it, because an audience member asked about trading, you know, just trading around the continent. How is it for you guys? Precious, would you like to start?
Well, trading around the continent is not as easy as you'd expect it to be, which is really sad. It's difficult to get your things across borders. It's difficult to make financial means of how to get paid and how to exchange money and etc. It's really difficult. I think that's one thing that needs to be looked at. It's actually much easier to trade overseas than it is to trade within the continent. It has been that way for me. And another thing, I think it also depends on your market, on what you are supplying or producing or offering. And for me, it hasn't really worked very well. But I'm looking into it. I mean, I've been doing a lot of shows with Seychelles as well. A lot of prospects there as far as importing is concerned, which is another platform that TIKZN also sponsored us with last year, together with SLU there. So there are opportunities that are opening up, and I'm just hoping that there'll be more, and we'll get more exposure and more lessons learned, and yeah.
Thank you, Precious. Lunga, would you like to add something to that also, Lunga? How has it been trading around the continent for you?
Yeah, no, I think for me it's slowly opening up. I mean, we have our watches in Niger, and we've had some requests from Angola as well. So I think it's gonna be exciting, you know, to see how we take the brand there. But a lot of patience, and then just trying to understand the different cultures and different dimensions from around those people.
Excellent. Thank you. And SLU?
Yes, for me, I will say that my brand has been successful in the African continent, especially the ones that I have physically visited as an exhibitor, which includes Zimbabwe, where because my work and my designs are more African, and they have a lot of beadwork in it. I also do beaded jewelry, and it relates to the African continent. Most of Africans, they love beaded work. And I have really made good sales, and most of the exchange and the payment methods for me, I haven't had real big challenges on that. And recently, when we went to Seychelles to do a show there, I also did well, and my products were really accepted well. So I haven't had really big challenges. So like Precious was saying, it depends on the clientele that you are targeting and the products that you are introducing to those people. So this brings us back to being able to align your product to the market that you want to service.
Wonderful. I know one of the things, guys, as major concern is the effect that COVID will have on, you know, Africa Fashion Week London 2020, AFWL 2020, happening this year. And while we have not canceled AFWL 2020 yet, we are looking at if there's a need for us to push it back, or if there's a need where we have a fallow year, we might, for sure, we will continue on with Africa Fashion Week Online, whereby we'll continue with a virtual exhibition of all the designers. And I hope that going back to what Mr. Medelekis mentioned about that collective spirit, what Pumela has so passionately and so enthusiastically mentioned about the need to that togetherness to make this happen, because the work cannot stop, and we certainly will not stop. So if we have to go that virtual route and having that or virtual fashion shows and exhibitions, and notice I said the fashion shows and exhibitions. So it's not just about catwalk, but we want to be able to display all of your works also. So not just for people who want to be featured on catwalks, but also people going to be exhibiting. And we are working, very much in understanding that the future forward is to be embracing technology. And we are very much in deep talks with to make that happen. And in fact, I want to encourage you guys to jump on board and to stay with us as we move forward, because that's very, very important. I appreciate Mr. Madeleke and mentioning that. Princess, someone in the audience asked about how can AFWL, well, let me say exactly what the question is. Princess just wanted to know, how could we explore the use of online and e-commerce platforms to promote brands that participate in AFWL? This would provide an avenue for brands to continue with sales post these events, post-COVID.
Okay, post-COVID, okay. I know we explored that option years ago during one of the Africa Fashion Week events. However, what we realized was when clients or customers, when they place orders, because most of our designers are in Africa, so getting the order on time. I know one time it took about 3 months for one of the designers, to have a dress, that one of the clients ordered. So we're looking into maybe having like a fulfillment store after each event. That was our plan this year, was that so when the designers come to Africa Fashion Week, we are able to like get pieces of them where we have like a fulfillment store, and when orders are placed, Africa Fashion Week will be in charge of sending out those orders as opposed to relying on the designers to send them. So that's what we were looking at doing this year, and I'm sure once we get over the COVID season or the difficulty of COVID, we'll be able to put that in place.
Mela, I saw you nodding your head, and you put quite an approval just now with what Princess Ronke was saying. Please, what were the thoughts going through your head just now?
Yes, I thought that will be a very good initiative to create an end-to-end solution to the supply of the goods that the designers are going to come up with, but also as a call to action to everyone that is listening to this webinar. I just want us, and this is also something that came into my mind as the panelists and Princess Ronke were sharing, that the business of fashion is not just the business of the designers. It needs social enterprises like Africa Fashion Week. It needs businesses to play a role. It needs governments to play a role. It needs civil society to play a role. And if you're looking at this, a fulfillment store that will be required, what stops a courier company with saying, I will sponsor the delivery of these fashion goods? Let us begin to think out of the box in order to make really, really the whole bigger than the sum of its parts.
Thank you so much. And we're very happy that you mentioned the need for a call to action from every single part, including the relationships between governments. And so for Mr. Madeleke being here, representing the South African government and understanding how important AFWL's relationship with the different governments. Mr. Madeleke, I wanted you to just share your thoughts on what Mela's just said about the call of action for all governments to play a role in ensuring that there is the success stories across Africa and there's that collaborative effort to make those successes happen.
Yeah, well, I share the same sentiments, but before that, I wanted to say that before Prince Harry emigrated in March, he said, simply call me Harry. I want to say to you, my senior colleagues.
Mr. Madeleke, can you say that again, that last bit about Prince Harry, please?
Before Prince Harry emigrated in March, he went to a function and he said to the people there, please simply call me Harry, because they took his title away. And I'm saying to you, please call me Lex. Just simply call me Lex.
Okay, Lex. So Lex, so tell us, and regarding, you're sharing your thoughts, representing the government of South Africa and understanding the need, as Pamela rightfully pointed out, the call for action for all governments in South Africa, across Africa, to work together to fulfill exactly what TIKZN is trying to do, not just in KwaZulu-Natal, but representing what needs to happen across the continent.
Yes, no, it's true. We as Africans, we need to come together. Our president recently held a meeting with the African heads of state. I think it was last week, and there was going to be a special in June. I'm not sure if it is still happen, but then the president, as the chair of AU, you heard earlier on, that he convened that meeting. He also had a meeting with the private sector from Africa to say, in addition to what government is doing, private sector, can you also come together so that we do something also for the continent? So yes, we agree, we need to come together as African governments. And also that will be an implementation of the Africa Free Trade Agreement. We are talking about the regional integration. We are the infrastructure in Africa. Even when we manufacture these things, to transport them will be another issue. So there's going to be a lot of projects in Africa, and then they have to be implemented by the Africans themselves. So it's African problems, the solutions will have to come from Africans themselves. And then to Christina, I wanted to show her that today I'm wearing this T-shirt. I don't know if she can recognize it. And then next time, I'm saying, you said we have to do more. So this is just the first webinar, and I expect that you'll do as well. And I'll be wearing more T-shirts, not only the one from the Kingdom of KwaZulu-Natal, but the others as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lex. Thank you. Christina, I wanted, before we close, I just wanted to ask you that same question. How have you found sales to West, East, and North Africa? Tell us about this.
So, firstly, TIKZN operates within an array of sectors. We're not sector specific. We look at promoting the province of KwaZulu-Natal and our manufacturing capabilities to the world. So when it comes to trading with Africa, I have to let you know that we are on a huge, aggressive drive to boost inter-regional trade. The positioning of KwaZulu-Natal, we are actually based on the east coast of South Africa, and our positioning makes us the ideal trade partner and trade route into Africa. We have world-class and ideal infrastructure capabilities that assist our manufacturers and our service providers to get their products out there into Africa. We do have challenges, and there are challenges. But Africa needs to get within itself. Africa has already moved into that sphere as well. For ourselves, we are trading with a number of African countries, and we actually have had recently not just an exchange of products and currency, but also an exchange of skills. Last year in October, TIKZN hosted our annual export forum, and we hosted a creative industry stakeholder that is based in Accra in Ghana, and he was here to teach our creatives how to authenticate and how to incorporate everyday living and everyday designs into your wear, into your African creative designs. And that synergy that was birthed at the Export Summit was just amazing to look at how our creatives wanted to collaborate with Ghana-based creatives, wanted to look at how to elevate our strengths with their strengths as well, and that has been phenomenal to look at. South Africa and KwaZulu-Natal as well. You know, we positioned, and our position itself is just so ripe in the taking that if we miss a beach here, we're going to miss it all over again. So I have to say that across all sectors, KwaZulu-Natal and South Africa features predominantly in Africa. Yes, there are challenges. Yes, there are infrastructure issues. Yes, there are commerce issues, or there are monetary issues. There's fiscal issues. There's a number of barriers, but we can push through. We can make it. Now is the time for us to actually grasp that opportunity and move forward in making Africa answerable to itself.
Excellent, and that has to happen indeed. Look, you all have said some incredible things today to really encourage designers, particularly young designers, particularly emerging designers across the continent, to know that the platform, AFWL platform, is a viable platform, a platform that continues to take the world by storm and set standards in terms of letting people, particularly designers in Africa, creators in Africa, to understand that your very own is doing great things. We're here in London, and all of you have proven that by participating in AFWL platform, you've gotten this sort of attention, marketing international attention that you probably didn't think that you'd be able to get from a platform that's from your own and represents your own. And it's been a wonderful thing to hear your stories. It's been absolutely wonderful to get the support of the South African government in this webinar today. So thank you so much, Lex, for representing the South African government, for being here. That's really important. It's important to get the brains of Brand South Africa. Pumela, you've done an amazing job in really strategizing exactly what Brand South Africa means and the importance that AFWL has had in fulfilling that strategy. That means a lot to us. It means a lot to us, Christina, to know that AFWL has played an important part in helping TIKZN fulfill its mission in helping not only to promote KwaZulu-Natal as a region, but the enterprises in KwaZulu-Natal, and particularly young emerging designers. Designers Precious, Lulu Designs, LN Watches, Sulu Design. It has been so wonderful to hear your success stories, and continue to support Africa Fashion Week London. And again, we're not just in London, we're also in Nigeria, so please participate, because the same attention that you get in London, we have amazing partnerships, in media partnerships in Nigeria also, and we continue to do great things there. I also want to encourage you guys to continue to tune in to the other web talks that are coming up, because they will be incredible. And there's some, I can't say too much yet. It's all in the actual program schedule, but there's some lineup of industry experts that you definitely want to align yourself, who are doing great things across Africa. One person in particular is Monsieur Alfadi, who is the first, perhaps one of the most successful Africa designers, who has been the first designer of that caliber to start the International Fashion Festival in Africa, and he really is there to support all of Africa. And he's going to be here next Wednesday, doing his part in continuing to encourage young designers like yourself and initiatives like the TIKZN. You know, what you guys are doing. So thank you all so very much. I now leave it to Princess Ronke, who I know has a very special thank you to all of you. So I'll leave you guys to Princess Ronke.
Yeah, so thank you very much for joining us. And Michael has said it all. Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you. There is going to be an Africa Fashion Week London 2020, be it at the Covent Gardens or virtually, we're going to have something. So we look forward to seeing you all there. Mr. Madileke, thank you very much. Pumela, Christina, Slu, Precious, and Lungai, thank you very much.
Thank you all so much.
Okay.
Thank you guys. Thank you all so much. Thank you.